Okay, so this is a 100% English revision. So hello my future CS, I hope you guys are doing absolutely fine. I am telling you I am also fine. So if you are new to the channel, let me introduce to you myself, Sri Rohit Garg. I am an All India rank 21 and an All India highest scorer in Indirect Text in May 24 examination. And regarding my practical experience, I have a 4 year of practical experience in Big Four. I worked in KPMG, I worked in EY as well. Okay, that's all about me. So let's directly jump to the revision. So I am revising you the supply under GST chapter. Okay, let's start. Sir, what is supply? So supply is the main trigger point. If I explain you in income tax, income is the trigger point. To have an income tax, you have an income, right? So if you don't have an income, you do not need to pay any income tax. So income is the taxable event which trigger the income tax, right? Just like income, supply here is a trigger point. Means it is a taxable event which create it is a taxable event, right? It create a tax liability. So whenever there is a supply, it is it will attract the GST as well. Supply, sir, supply can be of goods, supply can be of services, and supply can be of both as well. Both means goods and services, right? So if you see a little diagram here, it's a very short diagram I made. So in GST there are two scenarios. First, it can be a supply, otherwise it is not a supply. If it is not a supply, it will not be going to be a covered under the GST. Okay. And what's about if it is a supply? So if it is a supply, there can be a two scenario as well. First, it can be a taxable, it can be exempt. Means if it is a supply, it the government has a power to exempt this as well. You will later see in other chapter, in exemption chapter, there are some sector which government give exemptions. So for example, a charitable organization, a educational institute, and healthcare services. These are the departments where government give the exemption. Even though you are a supplier, you do not need to pay any tax. Okay. If it is not exempt, surely then you have to pay the tax. Then you have to pay the GST. Okay. Just like in our house, we have a two siblings. Yeah, we have two siblings. First is the elder brother and another is a younger brother. So elder brother is always beaten by the parents, then it is taxable. And younger brother, even though he is very naughty, still parents don't beat him, right? So it is that sibling, it is that child. I hope so आपको clear हुआ. Okay, so now let's talk about the another. The supply can be of goods, supply can be of services. What do you mean by goods and what do you mean by services? Okay, simply explanation. Goods mean first of all every kind of a movable property. Sir, what do you mean by movable property? Anything which can be moved. But this is a layman. This is a layman language. In GST, what is movable mean? So in GST, movable mean if any things which can be brought to the market and sell it or buy it, then it is a movable. Suppose a car. A car can be moved to the market. You can buy it and sell it, right? Simply this bottle you can move it to the market, right? This is also movable. This is the speaker. I have the speaker with me. This speaker you can like move to the market and sell it or buy it, right? So these all the things you see all are movable. But sir, what about house? So if you see, there is no technology yet which can move the house. So house is not a movable property. Then what it is? Sir, it is an immovable property. And let me tell you, immovable property is not covered under the supply. So GST is not going to be attract on immovable property. GST not going to be covered. Immovable property is not going to be covered under GST because it is not a part of a goods and later you will see it is not covered under services also. Okay. The first and the foremost thing is the goods mean a movable property. Anything which is not a movable, it's not a goods. Okay. But GST exclude two things. First is money and another is security. And what do you mean by money and what do you mean by security? So money means anything which is recognized by the RBI. For example, your currency note is recognized by the RBI. Your commercial paper is also recognized by the RBI. Your fixed deposit is also recognized by the RBI. So money means anything which is recognized by the RBI, and commercial paper and fixed deposits also are money. Means sir, it is out of the definition of a goods. It is not covered under the definition of goods. If it is not covered under the definition of goods, then you can check the services as well. If it is not covered under goods and it is not covered under services, means it is not a supply. Anything which is not a goods and services as per the definition of GST, then it is a not a supply. So first of all, money is not a goods. It can be services. We will see it. Another is security. What is security? Security means simple. You purchase the sale. You purchase the shares. You purchase the sell the shares. This is a security. Like you purchase sell derivatives. Derivatives also a security. Another is if you hear the interest rate swap. So interest rate swap in AFM is also a derivative. Secure debt is also a derivative. But here are a very interesting concept. I will tell you later. Chalo, let's cover it. So in case of a future and forward contracts, so you have studied in your AFM subject about future and forward contract. So in future and forward contract, there can be a two option. Either you can do a net settlement, either you can take a delivery, right? You can do a net settlement, you can take a delivery. And future and forward contract can be related to two things. It can be related to commodity like rice, and it can be related to as well security like shares. Okay. So first of all, we will talk about future and forward contract of shares. So future and forward contract of shares is always a security. Even it is a net settlement, even it is a delivery taken. So in net settlement, you doesn't take the actual delivery, you just do the price settlement. You just do the price settlement, and in that case, it is a security. If it is a security, it is not a part of a goods, right? But in case if you taken the delivery, delivery. So in delivery, there are two options. Whether you can, there are two things. First, it is a commodity, and second, it is a security. So first, I will talk about shares. In shares, even though you take a physical delivery, if you take the physical delivery, then it will credit to your demat account. Demat account, right? If it is credit to the demat account, then it is also in the form of shares. Now, if it is in the form of shares, then also it is a security. So even if there is a physical delivery of shares, it is always treated as a part of security and not part of a goods, right? But in case of a commodity, suppose you purchase a you have taken a future and forward contract of a rice. Now you do not want to take a net settlement and you opted for a delivery. You have taken the physical delivery of a rice. Means GST is a consumption based tax and you are consuming the rice. Then in case you have taken the physical delivery, then it is not a security. Then it is not a security and it is a part of a goods and it attract the GST. Only this case will cover under our GST if there is a future and forward contract of a commodity and you are taking the physical delivery. In that case, it is a part of a supply and it is a part of a goods. I hope so it is clear to you. Okay. So goods mean anything which is movable, means immovable property is not covered, and other than money and securities, means money and security are not part of our goods, but it specifically includes two things. But first is actionable claim and second is growing group. So what do you mean by actionable claims? So actionable claims is any type of a claim, any type of a claim. For example, you win a lottery, then the lottery amount you have win is also a claim. You can go to the civil court. You can go to the civil court. If suppose that person not pay you the lottery amount, you can go to the civil court and show your lottery ticket that this is the lottery ticket I have purchased, but this person is not paying me the amount. Then the civil court will punish him and allow you the lottery amount you have win. So anything which the civil court recognize as a ground of release. This is the very important line, and you have to write in your exam if question comes about the actionable claim. So any claim which is recognized by the civil court is actionable claim, right? So for example, a lottery, betting, gambling, you win a prize at KBC. So all these are the example of an actionable claims. Okay. For example, you buy a voucher as well. So voucher here is also an actionable claim. Voucher here is you go to the shopping malls and someone gave you the voucher ki whenever you come at the second time you can redeem this voucher. So this is also a actionable claim and no one can stop you ki this voucher is not valid because uh, they gave you it the first time you have purchased the things. Now they can't because civil court recognize that. I hope so it is clear. And the second is growing crops. Growing crops which are attached to the land. Matlab any type of a crop which is attached to the land is a part of a goods. Means if you see the rice, the wheat, all the pulses, all are the part of a goods because they are severed. They are severed because they are severed to have a supply, right? So what do I mean from the goods? So let's revise. Goods mean every kind of a movable property other than money, securities, but include two things: actionable claims and growing crops. Actionable claims and growing crops. And in security, if you take the forward and future contract, and if you take the physical delivery of a commodity, then it is a goods. Then it is a goods. This is a tricky point. Okay. Now we have studied about the goods. Now we will talk about services. What do you mean by services? So services mean anything other than goods. Means that anything which is not a goods is not a anything which is not a goods is a services, right? But other than goods, money and security. The means money and security is not a goods, not a services, means it is not a supply as well. So currently, there will be a no GST on money. There's a no GST on money and there's a no GST on securities. So if you purchase any shares of Tata, there will be no going to be a GST on it. But two things specifically include in the definition of services. First is use of money. Sir, what do you mean by use of money? Suppose uh, you have taken a loan from a bank, right? Loan amounting to 1 lakh rupees. On that you have to pay a interest of a 10%, and let's say you paid the interest of 10,000. So at the end of the year you will pay to the bank 1 lakh plus 10,000 interest. So 1 lakh is a money, right? 1 lakh is money. But what about 10,000? 10,000 is an interest, and interest is a services because bank is giving you the money, because bank is giving you the money to use it, and in consideration of it they are charging a interest because of the time of value. So it is a part of a services. So any discounting, any interest you are receiving, then it is a services. Another is its conversion in any mode for which a separate consideration is charged. Sir, what does mean by that point? Any conversion. Matlab, suppose you want to go to Dubai. You want to go to Dubai. Just a minute. suppose you want to go to Dubai and you go to the exchange bank. Currently, Dubai, not Dubai. Suppose you want to go to the USA and the current dollar rate is 90 as per RBI. But the bank will charge you 92 rupees. And suppose you want only $1,000. So you paid 92,000 you paid the amount. But actually, if I convert as per the RBI, the amount will going to be a 90,000. It means bank is charging 2,000 extra. For which conversion, right? So here 2,000 is a supply, it's a services. This is the services. So anything other than goods, money, security include use of money and its conversion, for which a separate consideration. 2,000 rupees is a separate consideration for a conversion. So it is a services. So we have studied the definition of a goods, we have studied the definition of a services as well. So what we understood from it, the money and security first of all is not a supply. Second, we read about the future and forward contract. Generally, the future and forward contract is not a goods and services because sir, it is covered under the definition of a security. But in case future and forward contract is related to a commodity and we are taking the physical delivery, in that case we are actually consuming it and it is a part of a goods. Okay. There's another special point, ULIP. What is unit link insurance policy? So unit link insurance policy has given you the combined benefit of investment and risk. Combined benefit of an investment and risk. Sir, what does mean from that? So suppose you take an insurance policy of 100 lakhs rupees and in 100 lakh rupees he offers you, sir, I will cover your insurance risk as well as I will deposit the same amount as an investment. So if you want to withdraw that after a certain point of time, you can withdraw. It's like an investment. I will give you the mutual fund units, right? So in 100 rupees, I am getting two things. First is insurances and second is investment. If we about the insurance risk is a services because someone is giving you the insurance services, but investment in itself is a money, right? It's in itself a money as security. It is not a supply. So here what GST says, it is considered as a supply of services. It will consider as a supply of services first of all. Sir, how much amount will consider as a supply of services? We will study this in valuation of supply. For the time being, unit link insurance policy which cover investment plus risk. Which cover investment plus risk is a supply of services. It's a very important point. They can ask in examination. Okay, another is third point. So you remember we have studied the second point in goods. Goods include growing crops. Means anything, any crop which is added to the land is also a goods. Sir, what's about the trees? Okay, so in trees there are two type of trees. First, the trees can be of a standing tree and tree can be of a timber tree. There are two type of trees, standing tree, timber tree. Sir, what is standing tree and what is timber tree? So timber tree, first we will talk about the timber tree. Timber tree is a commercial tree which is used for furniture. If you see the furniture around you, all are made of a timber tree. So I can say timber tree is a commercial commodity. If anything is commercial and attached to the land, it is part of a goods and it is a supply. But in case it is a standing tree, means this tree is not grown for a furniture purpose. If you see around the tree which are generally grow up, no, there is a no commercial purpose of it. These are the standing trees, and standing trees are not part of a good. They are not treated as like a growing crops. Okay, so growing crops is not a tree, is not as goods, and timber tree is a commercial commodity, hence it is covered under the definition of a goods. I hope first, second and third point is clear to you. Now let's talk about the fourth point. Sir, what do you mean by fourth point? In fourth point, any currency you held for numismatic value. So by numismatic value, uh, if I give the example, so have you seen old 500, 100 notes or 1000 notes which are already bent? So now, right now, if you want to purchase 500 or 1000 note, you will not get it at 500 because it's very rare commodity now. You will get might be at 5000 rupees, right? So if anything which is not recognized by RBI, because currently these notes are not recognized by RBI, they are they are purely held for numismatic value. They are purely held for its numismatic value. Okay? Hence, it is a part of a goods. If anything which is not a part of a money is part of a goods, right? So these are part of the goods. Just a minute. The part of a goods. First point is clear, second is clear, third is clear, fourth is clear. Now talks about the fourth point. What do you mean by fourth point? So fourth point is about brokerage and platform fees. So we have studied security is not a goods and a services, right? But what about the brokerage and platform fees? So if you see Upstox, what Upstox do? The Upstox is a platform. Upstox is a platform which provide or facilitating or arranging the transactions, which provide the facility or arranging the transactions for the traders, for the retailers, right? But they are not actually purchasing or selling a security. They are just providing the platform where you can sell purchase the security, and for that services they are charging some annual maintenance charges, they are charging brokerage fee, they are charging a platform fees. They are not covered under the definition of securities, they can cover the definition of services, because Upstock is providing the services. They are not providing you the shares, they are providing just the platform. So they are charging the platform fees, hence they are covered under the definition of supply and it is liable to GST. I hope all the points related to the goods and services are clear to you, because these are very very important for your examination point. Next we will talk about the section 7. Now jump to the section 7, scope of supply. Okay. First it's section 7.1a. Section 7.1a says anything which is a supply of a goods and services in any mode. What does any mode mean? Any mode means any sale, transfer, barter, exchange, lease, rental, anything. You do not need to remember these terms because they are not going to test you in exam. So you just need to remember anything is a supply of a goods and services in any mode and in business and for a consideration. In business for a consideration. In business and for a consideration. If you satisfy all the four conditions, then it is a considered as a supply. So first of all, supply is need to be a goods and services. Second, it can be of any mode. Any mode means sale, transfer, barter, exchange, lease, rental, anything in business and in consideration. Only then it is considered as a supply. If any transaction is not in the business, then it is not a supply. If any transaction for which there is a no consideration, then also it is not a supply. We have studied the definition of a goods and services. Any mode, we do not need to uh, read this terminology. Business definition you can read it by yourself, and consideration I am going to cover. Okay? Business definition they will not going to ask you in examination. Business is a very very common term, you know what it is business. Okay, so let's talk about the consideration. So consideration, there are 2 points covered in consideration. First is consideration mean any payment, whether it's in money, whether it's not in money. Matlab, it's anything which is equivalent to money. For example, you want to purchase a laptop, you give the money, 50,000 money, then it is a consideration. Suppose you don't have a 50,000 rupees, and instead of a 50,000 rupees, you have a furniture shop and you give the furniture. Then even though it is not a money, it is it is other than money. that furniture is other than money, it is also considered as a consideration. In joint development agreement, you can see it is also not a money form, it's other than money. So anything, any payment, whether money or not, it is a consideration. Okay, but there's an exception to it. If any central government, state government give you the subsidy, if any central government, state government give you the subsidy, in that case it is not consideration, it's not a consideration. Suppose you want to launch some food for the underprivileged students, underprivileged peoples, at 1 rupees, but the cost is around 100 rupees, and the difference is given by central government, state government. So central government is giving you the 99 rupees and you are serving it for 1 rupees. Then 99 rupees is not considered as a consideration and no GST will be applied on it. Only GST will be applied on 1 rupee only, right? But local authority is not covered under it. Matlab means if you getting the rupees 99 from the local authorities for subsidized food, then that 99 rupees will consider as a consideration and it will added in the 1 rupees. So now tax will be on 1 plus 99 and 99, right? So local authority is not covered, means local authority, any amount we have rupees as a, any amount we have received as a subsidy, it is considered as a consideration. Same we will study in B point. In B point, any act of forbearance. So what do I mean from an act and forbearance? So forbearance mean any payment, any payment received for not doing something. Suppose I offered 1000 to students, please don't make noise in the classes. So So I am paying 1000 rupees to students for not making noise in the class. Means I am paying something for not doing something. Means anything which is paid for not doing something is called a forbearance and it is also considered as a consideration. Right? So money means simply anything, whether in money or not, or to do an act, to do not to do the act is also a consideration. Money, sorry, a consideration. But any central government, state government subsidy is not a part of a consideration, but local authority subsidy is a part of a consideration. Some special points for consideration. First is a security deposit. So any security deposit you will give is not a consideration. You suppose you taken a house on rent. The landlord asked for a first month rent as well as the security deposit of 1 month. Then the first month rent is a consideration, but the security deposit is not a consideration because the landlord will return at the end of a year, at the time whenever you leave the house, right? It is not a consideration, but there can be a one case. In that case, it is considered as a consideration. If if for example you are living and you told the landlord, sir, could you please adjust the security deposit which I have deposited in the last month rent because I don't have the money to pay last month. Then the security deposit you have deposited adjusted again the rent of last month. In that case, if the security deposit is adjusted again the last month rent, then it is a part of a consideration. Was it clear too? Yes, I hope so. Now let's talk about second point, artwork. What does I mean from artwork? So this is a famous case. He's a Leonardo da Vinci. He's a very famous painter and artist who painted the Mona Lisa painting. So Leonardo da Vinci has sent his Mona Lisa painting to an art gallery. An art gallery has paid nothing. They paid nothing because Leonardo da Vinci will be paid only when that art gallery will sell the same painting. So there are two cases. First, Leonardo da Vinci sell the art gallery. There is a no consideration. Then art gallery sell it to some customer. Then that customer will pay to the Leonardo da Vinci. In second case, when The painting will sell, it is consideration, but the only mere sending to the art gallery is not a consideration in itself, right? I hope so it is clear. Third, no claim bonus. So let's take an example. Suppose Rohit has purchased a very new car, and in the first year he taken a insurance of 1000 rupees, but the insurance company doesn't want, because Rohit is a very poor driver, and for sure he will damage the car and claim the insurance amount. So insurance company doesn't want, Rohit will take insurance, but Rohit Rohit doesn't damage the car, not damage the car during the year one. And insurance company is very happy. Ki Rohit, you haven't claimed the insurance amount, so we are giving some discount to you in the year two. In the year two, instead of a 1000, we are giving you a 200 rupee discount. Now you need to pay only 800 rupees. That 200 rupees is a no claim bonus, because you haven't claimed any amount, because your driving is too good. Now the question here is whether the 200 is a consideration or not. So first of all, there's a no agreement between me and insurance company. I will not claim that. If my car got damaged in the year one, I will surely go to the insurance company, right? This is purely an act of God. My car not got damaged, and because of that, I didn't claim any insurance claim. So that 200 is not considered as an insurance amount. Sorry, it's not considered as a no. It's not considered as a consideration. Only the GST will be applicable on the 800 amount. So yehi is only that amount will be considered as a supply. I hope so. It is clear. Fourth point, so if you give any donation to a charitable organization, then you have to meet the three conditions. First, it should be a charitable organization. Second, it should be in the form of a gift donation. And third, your purpose should not be a advertisement. Then it is not a consideration. Let's take an example. Suppose a Bhushan and company, he donated a blackboard to a charitable organization for a underprivileged students, and he gave it free of cost. First of all, he gave it to the charitable organization. Second, he gave in a donation form. Third, we have to check whether there is an advertisement behind it or not. So, charitable organization, since Bhushan has donated, they have they have written the name of a Bhushan ki donated by Mr. Bhushan in the memory of his late father. A mere statement is not a advertisement, right? But in case if the same organization write the business address, in that case it's not a mere statement, it is purely a advertisement of his business, right? So there are two cases. If there's a mer name, then for example, the name printed on the blackboard, good wishes from Mr. Bushes, then it is not a consideration because there is a no advertisement. But in case the business address is written, then it is a pure case of a then it is pure case of a advertisement, and in that it is considered as a consideration. I hope so all the 4 points are clear to you. Okay, so first section we are cleared. Now we jump to the section 7(1)(a). Section 7(1)(a) says, so any activities of goods and services by any person other than individual. Matlab, the person should be other than an individual and to its member, and services provided to its member, then it is a supply. So let's take an example. If a cooperative society, so cooperative society, let's say Gokul Dham society, if any type of a society, so cooperative society in itself is not an individual. He is not an individual because it's a cooperative society, and they are charging from its member annual maintenance charges. Annual maintenance, monthly maintenance charges. Then monthly maintenance charges is also considered as a supply, right? Whether it is taxable or exempt, it we will say later in the chapter. But for the time being, it is a supply. Now, section 7(1)(b) talks about import of services. So, if you are taking any services from outside India, whether for business or not. So If any services you are taking, import of services. First of all, you need to see section 7. In section 7, consideration is the first and foremost thing. Without consideration, it is not a supply. So import of services, it should be a consideration. It should be a consideration. Without money, there is nothing in GST. But there can be a two cases. You have paid it for business purpose and you have paid it for non-business. Matlab for your personal purpose, I can say. In both the cases, it is a supply. It is in both the cases, it is a supply. In both the cases, it is a supply. For example, you taken an architect services for your newly constructed CA office. Now CA office is a business, then it is a supply. For example, you take the architect services for your home, your personal home. In that case also, it is a supply in GST. We will later see in case of a personal use, it is exempt. It is later exempt. But in case of a business, it is taxable and it will covered under reverse charge mechanism. The person who is in India will pay the tax on behalf of the person of the architect. Are you getting my point? I hope so. So this is about import of services. Okay, so personal consumption is also covered under supply. Here we have covered import of services. We are not talking about import of goods. Sir, why we are not talking about import of goods? Because in import of goods, you will see custom rules will apply. Custom rules will going to be applied for import of goods. This is the example I wrote in the, I take the example of this. Okay, so we have covered section 7. Now, dekho, now we will talk about schedule 1. There are some transactions, there are some transactions, even though they are without consideration, still they are treated as a supply. Still they are treated as a supply. First transaction is permanent transfer. Yeah, okay, let's shift to the book. I will cover it from the book. First is it should be a permanent transfer. It should not be a temporary transfer of a business assets. Means not a personal assets. You are transferring the assets which is shown in your balance sheet, right? So any business assets you are permanently transferring and on which you have claimed the credit, input tax credit. In that case, even though you have given that assets free of cost, still it is considered as a supply. Sir, what is the logic behind it? So, for example, you have purchased a furniture for your business. And when you purchase the business office, it's a business asset you have shown in your balance sheet, and you also claim the input tax credit. Means, for example, you have paid the 10,000 tax on it, right? Then you claim the 10,000 ITC and you have utilized that ITC. Means the government will give nil amount, nil amount. Now, what government expect from you? Government won't, at least you shall this at 12,000 so that I so that we can recover that this tax. But you are an idiot. Now you do not sorry, you are an idiot. You are selling it a nil rupee. You are selling it a nil rate. Now earlier government has earned nothing from it. Now you are selling it nil. Then what's the benefit of a government? Think from the government point of view. If you sell it some price, then the government gets some taxes. But you are selling it nil, then government says, why you have taken the ITC? Why you have taken the bloody ITC from me? Then government says, it is a supply. You have to pay the tax to us. You have to pay the tax to us. This is the logic behind it. And I have told you, it's a permanent transfer, not a job work. You will see in case of a job work, it is a temporary transfer. After the processing, job worker will return it to you. Means the job work is not a permanent transfer. And personal things are not covered here. And anything which is not, you haven't taken the ITC on it, then also it is not covered under first entry. Means three condition: permanent transfer, business assets, and ITC has been taken. All three condition you have to check. Example I have taken, if any organization जो क्या during a renovation transfer its old furniture on which ITC has been availed. Furniture is a business asset and ITC has been taken. Even though you have given it for a you have given it to a charitable organization. Please don't link this point to the point which we have took in charitable. Please don't link with this point. Here, even though you have given it for free of cost, but you have claimed the input tax credit. This is a business asset. Now it is covered under a share. I hope so. Let's talk about a second point. So any transaction between a related person. Suppose a related person, you are my related person. I am giving you the laptop free of cost. First, the government get. Government gets nothing because government will earn the tax on it. I sold free of cost. It's not a supply. So government says, in case of a related person, there might be a chances that transaction is not at a fair price. So any transaction between a related or a distinct person is considered as a supply. One thing I need to clarify in schedule fund, just like 7 7 section 7, one and the foremost consideration, one and the foremost thing we need to check is consideration. But in schedule 1, in all the four cases, you have to check whether it is a business or not. There should be a business, only then schedule 1 will apply, and it should be a without consideration. So it is a combination of a business plus without consideration in schedule 1. So any transaction between related person and distinct person is considered as a services if it is in the nature of a business. Suppose it is not in a business, it's not in a nature of a business. I am providing some services to my related. In that case, it is not a it's not a supply. So let's jump to the definition of a related person and a distinct person. So related person means sofa cook. Related person means poet CFA. Poet CFA is a memory technique which I used. A minute. Okay. This is a poet CFA. P mean if you are a legally recognized partner. Suppose A and B are two partners in a firm, then A and B are related. O means if you are officer and director. A and B, there are two person. A is a director in the business of a B and B is the employee in a business of a A. Then in that case also A and B can be said as a related person. P is clear, O is clear. Then talk about E. What does E? E means if you are employer and employee relationship, if you are in employer and employee relationship, then also it is considered as a related person. T mean 25%. So if any third person is holding a 25%, so let's take an example. A minute. Suppose there is a girl Seema. Seema hold 25% in A and 25% in B. Then A and B can be called as a related person. But it doesn't mean if if A hold in B 25%, then they are not related person. A third person should hold a 25%. Then it is considered as a related person. So please don't say this a related person if it's asked in examination. If A hold 25% or more in B, then it is not a related. PO is clear, is clear, O is clear, E is clear, T is clear. Now CFA. C we have a 3 points. C mean control. Control mean if A control B, control can be done by 51% shareholding or a majority board of director. So if A control B or vice versa, B control A, in that case A and B can be said as a related person. And another point is if a third person called C hold या फिर control both firm A and B, then A and B can be called as a related person as well, and C is also a related person and B and C is also a related person. Third is if A and B together they are controlling a person. In suppose they are controlling a D person. A hold 26% and B also hold 26%. If we combine 26 plus 26, the amount will be 52%. So 52% is about 51% or more. Then it is a control. So D is controlled by both. It's a common control. So A and B can be treated as a related person in that case. I hope so it is clear. P is clear, O is clear, E is clear, T is clear, C is clear. F means the member of a same family is also a related person. Family means spouse and children, means your husband or wife and your cute children, right? So they are the part of a family. But in case your your younger brother and sibling, they are dependent, financially dependent on you, then in that case they are also your part of a family. And also same about parents and grandparents. If your parents and grandparents are financially dependent on you, they are part of your family, right? So if in question they gave you like a well-known lawyer, or your brother has a well-established business, in that case they are not financially dependent to you. Your brother is a well-known lawyer, in that case is not financially dependent. If he has the same business like you, if he has a business, then in that case also it is not financially dependent on you, right? So please be careful regarding that point. Sometime I said test on that point. So family is clear. Now about A. A is a sole agent. So if you have any sole agent or a distributor through which you sell your goods, then that case your sole agent and distribution is related to you, is called as a related person. I hope so related person definition is clear to you. Now let's talk about a distinct person. So distinct person is very clear. So we same person, same pen, different registration. Generally, suppose I have I have a two business. So, minute. So what does distinct person mean? Distinct person simply means same pen, different register. Suppose there's a person called Rohit. He has a two businesses. First is in Tamil Nadu and another is in Karnataka. Right? Then he has to take a registration here, and he has to take a registration here also, because in GST if you have a business in different state, for each state you have to take for each state you have to take a different GST number. For each state you have to take a different registration. Then in that case they are, for example, it is your branch 1, this is your branch 2, then they are called as a distinct person. Same like a related person, there is a concept of a distinct, right? They are not treated like a same person, they are treated like a different person. But government gave you the exception to it. Suppose, for example, there are two branches. First in Coimbatore, another is in Chennai. Both are in Tamil Nadu. The government gave you the option. You have an option. Either you can take a separate registration, either you can take a common registration, because it is in a same state. We gave you the option. You can take a single registration for two branches, or you can take a separate registration. If you take a common registration, that it is, in that case it is not a distinct person. If it is not a distinct person, means it is not a supply. So any transaction between Coimbatore and Chennai is not a supply. But in case it is a separate, matlab Coimbatore have a separate GST registration, Chennai has a separate GST registration. In that case, they are treated as a distinct person. So any supply between the distinct person are considered as a supply. But there is a zone called special economic zone. If it is a special economic zone, suppose it is a Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu, you have a one branch is in Chennai, but there is also a special economic zone. In that case, you have a branch too. Then in that case, even though both are in the same state, you have to take a separate registration for your special economic zone branch. Means if you take a separate registration, then if any transaction between special economic zone and your branch one, that is called as a distinct person and it is treated as a supply. Right? I hope so it is clear. There's another concept of establishment of distinct person. What does I mean from that? Establishment of distinct person is very simple. Suppose I have one branch in Tamil Nadu and another branch is Karnataka. Okay? Let's take an example of a Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya. So in Karnataka, I have a beer manufacturing called Kingfisher. For beer manufacturing, you all know you need the bottle. You need the bottle. And in Tamil Nadu, I have a bottle factory. I have a bottle factory and suppose I am registered in GST. But in case of a beer is an alcohol and alcohol is not covered under the GST. Alcohol is not covered under the GST, then we not required to take a registration, not registration. Now I am supplying the bottles to Karnataka unit. In that case, it is treated as an establishment of a distinct person, means any transaction between a registered and non-registered, if they are in a different state, it is treated as a supply and they are treated as an establishment of distinct person because they are in a separate state even though it is not registered, but still any transaction between them is treated as an establishment of distinct person and it is covered under the supply. I hope so the definition of related person and distinct person is clear to you. Now the second point is very easy for you. So second point simply says, so any transaction between a related person and a distinct person in a nature of a business. The business is very important here. So anything which is not in the nature of a business and if anything you are supplying free of cost. Suppose I have a two branches. One is in Tamil Nadu and another is Karnataka. I am supplying some goods to another branch free of cost. Even though I am transferring free of cost, it is in the nature of a business. Hence, it is considered as a distinct person and it is in the nature of a business. So it is a supply under Schedule 1. I hope so it is clear. But you have studied uh, the definition of a related person, poet CFO, E means employer-employee relationship. So any employer-employee is a related person. But suppose your employer gave you the 50,000 gift on Diwali. Suppose your employer gave you the Dyson or a PS5 amounting to 50,000 rupees. In that case, the up to 50,000 in a one financial year is not a supply. Yes, it is an exception. Any amount which is given by employer to employee as a gift up to 50,000, then it is not a supply. But it is a financial year limit. For example, your employer in his March 26 gave you 40,000 and in April 26 again he gave you the 30,000. The total amount he gave you the 70,000. Although the amount exceed the 50,000, but the limit here is financial year wise. So March 26 covered under financial year 25-26 and in April 26 covered under 26-27. So both are the different financial year and if we see different financial year wise, both the amount are up to 50,000, hence it is the exception and it is not treated as a supply. I hope so it is clear to you. Now let's talk about the goods, any transaction between principal and agent. So any supply by principal to its agent is a supply. But here only goods is covered. We will later talk about this. First we'll talk about, sir, what do you mean by principal and agent relationship? So GST by circular clarify that if if your agent if your agent issue the invoice on his own name, then only there will be a principal and agent relationship. Okay, let's take an example. Suppose here Mr. A. Suppose Mr. A, who is the principal, supply goods through a auction. He hired an auctioneer called Mr. B. He acted as an agent and sold the goods to Mr. B. He sold the goods to Mr. C. So if if Mr. B, while selling the goods to Mr. C, issue the invoice in the name of Mr. B, then it is a considered as a principal agent relationship. I will explain you with an example. Right now, suppose A send the goods to B. Now B sell it to the C. So if the invoice is in the name of a B, then the transaction is routing like A sell the goods to B and B sell to the goods C. Then it is a supply and it is also a supply. But in case A send the goods to B and B send the C and issue the invoice in the name of A. In that case, the transaction is directly between the principal and the customer. It is a supply and it is not a supply, right? There is a no principal agent relationship exists. I hope so it is clear. There can be a vice versa also. It is a sale case. Same can be of a sale case, purchase case also. But here only goods is covered, not services. Not services. Let me take you an example. If, for example, a principal held a seminar and in which he appoint all his uh, all his agent he appoint all his agent, and the transaction is of course free. Of course we are talking about the schedule 1 only apply when there is a no consideration and it's in the nature of a business. And principal giving the seminar to all the agents, even though agent has nothing paid, there's a principal agent relationship can be exist. But here the thing is services, not goods, hence it is not considered as a supply. I hope it is clear to you. And one more thing, my English is not that much good because it's my first lecture, and I hope so you are adjusting little bit. First is clear, second is clear, first, second, third is clear to you. Now this is another concept of a del creator is a very very beautiful concept. I will explain. So what's the difference between an agent and del creator agent? There's a simple difference. In case of a del creator agent charge some extra money for giving the supplier the guarantee to the payment. In case a customer denies the payment, then the whole liability will be on the Dell credit area agent. Dell credit area agent, from his own pocket, he compensate it to the supplier. For that, he is charging extra money. But now the question is, sir, if the Dell credit agent supply on behalf of principal, whether it is a supplier or not, same concept will apply if there is a principal agent relationship. Means if agent issue the invoice in his own name, in that case it is a supply, it is covered under schedule 1. Apart from that, it is not a supply. But there is a very very tricky point in it. The tricky point here is short term transaction based loan. What is short term transaction based loan? Simply, this is a Tata car dealer. The Tata car dealer have a agent, and agent sell the car to a customer. Suppose he's a Dell credit agent, and in Dell credit agent, he paid the advance money to his principal. But customer is not financially sound, and he asked for some financially credit. Sir, can I pay after certain point of time? So agent give some financial short term loan. Means agent says you can pay the payment after certain point of time if you don't have any money right now. Means he can charge the amount as well. Suppose the car amount is 10 lakh rupees. Ram sold the car to agent and agent pay 10,000 instantly because agent is a Dell credit agent. Now agent asking the money from customer, but customer doesn't have money. He promise you after 2 months he will pay you, but for that agent is charging interest for 1% per month. Suppose at the end of the period, agent is getting 10 lakh rupees car amount plus he's getting 1000 interest. Now what's about interest? The question here is, what's the treatment of interest? So let's jump to a summarized form. In case of a short term based interest lane, in case if there is a schedule 1 transaction, means the invoice is issue in his own name. Invoice his issue in his own name. So I can say now there is a supply between agent and customer, because in principal agent the transaction will be like this to this to this 1.2 point. So there is a transaction between them. It is a supply of a car means goods, and here also they are providing you the short term loan means of services. So you will later study in section 8, it is a pure case of a composite supply. Here the main supply is of a car, interest is a ancillary supply, hence the rate of car will apply, means it will added in the value of a goods, it will added in the value of a goods. So it is treated same like a goods. But in case if there is a no principal agent relationship, means there is a no uh, invoice issue in his own name. In that case, if you see here, the transaction is directly between customer and the principal, no agent, right? So there is a no good service, though there is a no good supply, but there is a transaction between agent and customer for interest, right? Interest. So there is a no goods transaction, but there is a transaction of services. Then it is purely a one single services supply. Then it is considered as a services. I hope so. It is clear. It is a services. Now, another point is import of services. We have earlier studies regarding the with consideration. In case with consideration, whether it's business or not, it's always a supply. We will talk about without consideration in schedule 1. If there is an import of services, and that too without consideration, and I already told you in schedule 1, there's always a business. So if it is a business and the transaction between the related and distinct person, so if you are taking any services from your USA, your brother is in USA. In that case, it is a supply. If it is in the nature of a business, suppose your brother is a well-known architect, and you taking the services for your CA office. Well-known, your brother is a well-known architect in USA. You are taking the services. First of all, it is an import of services, and your brother is not charging. So schedule 1 case. And third, is your brother related to you? No, because your brother is a well-known lawyer and he is not dependent on you. In that case, it is not a related. If it is not a related, then it is not a supply. It's a very good question in your question bank. If you see, so with this, I have completed all your schedule 1 points. I hope so. It is clear to you. Now it's very easy. Now let's jump to the schedule 2. Schedule 2 is very easy, and it's not that much important for exam. 1 or 2 points is very important. Okay, let's start. First is transfer. So if anything, you are transferring the title. For example, I sold my car. In that case, it is a goods. I have transferring the right, not the title. Means I giving on rent. Suppose I gave the car on rent. Note, I have transferred the title. I just give the right for 1 day. Then it is a services. And in case the transfer of title is at a future date, suppose you purchase a mobile phone, iPhone it EMI. In that case, the ownership, you have a title, a title of that goods will transfer at the end of at the last EMI. Even though the even though the title is transferred at the future date, still it is a title transfer, and in case of a title transfer, it is always a goods. Let's talk about land and building. So although land and building is not a part of a supply, but in case if you are giving it on lease, in that case it is a service. It is a services, you are giving it for use. Another is job work. Job work is nothing but any process if you apply to another person goods. Suppose I have a car manufacturing company. Let's let's assume I am the owner of a Tata company, and I gave you my car for painting purpose, for paint purpose to you. And after the painting, you will return the car to me or sell the car, right? In that case, the painting services is a job work services and it is treated as a services, not goods. Another is business assets. So any business assets, if you are using it for private purpose, suppose you have purchased a car. Now you are going to Manali, means you are using that car for a private use. Then it is a service. Or might be a case you are giving it to your friend. In that also case, it is a services. In case of a permanent transfer, I have already told it's a goods. In case if any person who ceased to be a taxable person, so in that case, all the inventories, all the inventories at the time of a closing of a business, that is treated as a goods. But there are two exceptions to it. If you are transferring as a going concern, suppose you are transferring the business to your son in a going concern, because your son is now mature, then in that case it is not a supply. Or there can be a second case, suppose you are dead now and your business is carried by your personal or a legal representative, then in that case it is not a supply. I hope so it is clear. Renting, I have already explained, it's a services. Now other concept is intellectual property. So if you build any software, if you design any software, if you program, upgrade, maintenance, any type of a services, always a services, always type of a services, right? There's a one point regarding the construction. We will later talk with schedule 3. We will later deal with this in schedule 3, because I have covered with an chart here in schedule 3. Okay. Another we have a mm, okay. So we have a another concept of refrain, transfer. Okay. So anything refrain from an act, or tolerate an act. Refrain is an act to do nothing. You are paying for to do a nothing, then it is a services. And refrain is tolerate to an act. Tolerate to an act means you are doing some act, but I am tolerating it. Means you are making noise in the class, but you paid me 1000 and I am tolerating your noise. I am charging some money for tolerating your noise. In that case, it is also a service. Another is transfer to use. Transfer of right to use. If any right to use are you are transferring, it is purely a services. Another is our work contract or a restaurant services. What is work contract? So work contract means simply construction of an immovable property, whether it's a fabrication, completion, fitting out, improvement, modification, repair, maintenance of a immovable property is a work contract, in which you give the contract for goods as well as services. The another person will arrange the cement, another person will arrange the labor by itself. In that case, it is a supply of goods and services, and the main supply here is services, because you do not want the cement, you want the house, and for that you are taking a construction services. Hence it is a services, not a goods. Another is restaurant. You go to the restaurant for services, not for the vegetables. You are going to the restaurant for services, restaurant services, right? In that case, restaurant services is a composite supply, although there's a supply of goods as well as services, but the main services here is your services. Schedule 1 we have completed, schedule 2 we have completed, and the only schedule we are remaining with is schedule 3. Now let's talk about schedule 3. Schedule 3, in short form we will say it as a negative list. Whatever entry is covered under schedule 3, it is not treated as a goods, it is not treated as services. Means simply it is not a supply under GST, and hence it's not taxable. The first entry is employer and employee relationship. You have studied employer and employee are related person. So any transaction between employer and employee is a related person transaction, and it will be a supply under Schedule 3, Schedule 1 if it is a for a consider if it is not in for a consideration. But here employer and employee are covered under Schedule 3. Matlab if an let's take an example, if an employer giving salary to an employee, then it is not chargeable to GST. So any stipend you are getting, any salary you are getting, anything which is part of your CTC, even a perquisite. Perquisite is a non-monetary thing which an employer giving it to the employee. For example, he giving club passes, he's giving some membership to a club, he's giving uh, uh, guest house to an employee. All these are part of a perquisite, and perquisite is also a part of a salary and CTC, not a covered under GST. Second is services provided by court or tribunal. So there are basically two type of courts. First is our High Court, Supreme Court, appellate tribunals. Uh, these are the court which are recognized by the law, and and it is covered under Schedule 3, means there will be no GST. If court is charging some amounts as a fee, as an application fee, in that case, you do not need to like pay any GST on it. But in case an arbitral tribunal, so arbitral tribunal is different from a with a court which is recognized by law. Arbitral tribunal is a private court in which all the settlement made by the parties. So arbitral tribunal is a private court and which is different from the court which is recognized by law. Hence, it is not covered under Schedule 3, and the same transaction will be chargeable under RCM. You will see in RCM chapter as well. Okay. Next is third point is function by an MP MLA. Okay, let's take an example. Have you heard the name of a Raghav Chadda? So Raghav Chadda is an uh, MP in Punjab state, and he is also a chartered accountant as well. Okay. So, for example, Raghav Chadda as an MP getting a 1 lakh salary, and apart from that, he has a CA practicing chartered accountant from where he is getting something of 50,000 rupees by giving GST services. So 1 lakh rupees will not be covered under GST because it is a function of MP MLA in charge of his constitutional authority. But as a practicing chartered accountant, he is getting anything, then it is covered under the supply. I hope so it is clear. Okay, now fourth point. So any services of funeral, burial, mortuary, including the transportation of deceased, is also not supply. Means like, so in case of a death, there's a vehicle called Mukti Vahan, so that is also exempt, and services of funeral is also exempt. In fifth point, sale of building with entire consideration received after CC. Okay, let's give me an example. So there is a concept. Suppose this is a under construction building, under construction building, and you want to purchase that building. The building is yet to complete. The building is completed on 31st December. This is a completion date. I can set completion. But you have start residing in your first occupation as on 30th November. So I can say your building is completed by whichever is earlier, for let's say 30th November. Earlier is 30th November. So if before that even a single rupees, even rupee one receive before that, then it is a construction services you are taken. Means if any building which is not ready, and before ready you are purchasing that building, means you are not purchasing the building, you are constructing it, right? You are constructing it. So even a single rupees as a token money you are giving, in that case still it is considered as a construction services you are taking. But 100% 100% money, 100% money after Yeah, on 30th November. Then it is considered as a land and building, hence no supply is a supply. And let's take another example. Suppose you want a sea facing you want a sea facing bungalow, and uh, you paid 5 crore extra rupees for that. In that case, it is an ancillary supply because the main supply is of a construction services. So on 5 crore rupees, the rate of a construction services will apply, because it's a case of a composite supply. I hope so it is clear to you. If not, you can have a fast tag of me in which I will explain deeply. Next is actionable claims. We have studied actionable claims are supply of goods, right? But in Schedule 3, actionable claims are part of a Schedule 3, hence means actionable claims are no more supply. But five actionable claims are not covered under Schedule 3, means they are supply. So what are the specified actionable claim is lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, and horse riding. So, lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, and horse riding, these five are supply. And apart from that, all are not supply, means a voucher is not a supply. Are you getting my point? I hope so. Seventh is uh, if the good doesn't enter India and from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory. So taxable territory is India and non-taxable territory mean any country other than India. So, for example, you are purchasing the goods from China, and without entering into India, you are directly sent it to the USA. Means good haven't entered the India. If anything which is not entered into India, then it is not it should not be chargeable under GST, right? So this transaction will cover under Schedule 3, hence it is not considered as a supply. Next is 8th, ninth, and 10th. I will explain with an example. It's a very, very good example. So if you see this chart, this it is point of origin and it is point of port. Point of origin is an exporter port, and point of port is an importer port. Suppose let's take here is A and B. A is an exporter, B is an importer. So A sold the goods to B. Now the goods is in between the C, and during the C, the B sell the goods to C. There's another transaction case too. B sold the goods to A. Means the transaction between A to B and B haven't reached the India. So if any goods doesn't reach the India, doesn't liable to be chargeable under GST. So case 1 between A and B is not a supply at all. Right. Now let's talk about case 2. In case 2, it is sold to C. C came to India, and in India, after coming into India, he deposited into the warehouses. He doesn't clear it. It doesn't clear it. So let me tell you one thing. In custom, you will understand there. If any goods enter into India, plus it is clear for home consumption, only then it is will liable to GST. Means any goods which is not cleared for home consumption is not liable to be GST. Here, C doesn't clear the goods for home consumption. Instead of that, he deposited the same goods into the warehouses. Means in case 3, it is not a supply. Now in warehouses, let's take C doesn't have so much money and he sold it to the D. Now the transaction between C and D is also a not supply because the goods is not cleared yet. Now the D in case 5 has finally cleared it for the home consumption. Means goods enter into India and now they are cleared for home consumption. Only then it is considered as a supply. So what we have understand from this point, so any transfer of title after the goods has been dispatched from the point of origin, the goods has been dispatched from here, but before home clearance आपने क्या किया? What you have done, sorry I have used the Hindi. So what you have done, you have sold the goods to a third person. So this is a high CCL transaction. In GST, we say it is a high CCL transaction and it is not a supply. Another is anything you have sold when the goods are under warehouse before home consumption, that it is also a not a supply. In case for you C sold the goods to D in the warehouses, that transaction is not a supply as per point 9. In point 10 is similar to point 8 and 9. In this case, if any goods which is in warehouse in a SCZ to any person before clearance, you haven't cleared it, and before clearance you have sold to any person, that in that case also it is not a supply even though it is an S. I hope so it is clear to you. Okay, so another is 11th and 12th, they are the new points entered by an amendment. So first is our co-insurance and another is our reinsurance. There is a thin difference between co-insurance and reinsurance. So let me take an example for you. So suppose let me take an example, Ambani. So Ambani want to take an insurance. So he paid 10 crore rupees as an insurance premium to HDFC Bank, HDFC Insurance Company. But HDFC Bank do not want to take 100% of the risk. So he 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 gathered two more banks. First is Yes Bank and another is our uh, Bandhan Bank. And there is a single contract between Ambani and three parties or three banks. Um, just a minute. HDFC will get 40%, Yes Bank will get 30%, and Bandhan Bank will also get the 30%. There is a single contract. The point here to be noted, the contract is a single contract. So case one, case one. Here Ambani pay to here Ambani pay to HDFC. Ambani pay to HDFC 10 crore rupees. Supply, no doubt about it. And after that, HDFC distributed 6 crore out of that to Yes Bank and Bandhan Bank. It is called as a apportionment. I can say apportion because there is a single contract. He is getting 3 crore. He is getting 3 crore. What about this transaction? So Schedule 3 cover this transaction. It is covered under Schedule 3, and anything which is covered under Schedule 3 is not a supply. This is not a supply because it is a pure apportionment of amount of insurance, because we have already paid the tax of a 10 crore. But case 2 is very very different from a co-insurance. It's a case of a reinsurance, and reinsurance is completely different from a co-insurance. In reinsurance, what transaction is, let me take an example of an Ambani again. So Ambani go to the HDFC Bank. This is a contract 1. This is a contract 1, and now HDFC want to transfer his risk. For example, 40% of the risk he want to transfer it to the Yes Bank. Then he enter into a separate agreement. Here there is a two separate contract, not a single contract. There are two separate contract, and Ambani is giving 10 crore rupees, after which 40% is transferred to the um, Yes Bank. So amount is 4 crore. It is a supply. Of course, it is a supply. 4 crore. Yes, it is a supply. But here is a case of a seeding commission. And what is seeding commission? So suppose HDFC is giving Yes Bank a business of a 40%. And for that, HDFC is charging a commission, and HDFC is saying to Yes Bank, I am giving you the 40% business. Why don't you think you should give me a 10% commission because I am giving you the business? Yes Bank is saying, yes, you are right. You should deserve a commission. So HDFC is charging a commission, for example, a 10%, that is a 40 lakh rupees. 40 lakhs rupees. So here are two options. First, HDFC Bank, after deducting his uh, trading commission, let's say 4 crore minus zero point 0.4, 3.6 crore he will pay it to the Yes Bank. Another is gross basis. Here, yes, HDFC first of all will pay the 4 crore full amount, and he will get zero point 0.4 crore from Yes Bank. So here what GST clarify is, in case, देखो, GST GST department won't tax on 4 crore only. GST department won't tax on 4 crore only. If you have paid the tax on 3.6 crore because you are paying it on a net basis, then GST will say, please give us the tax on seeding commission as well. Please give us the tax on seeding commission as well, right? But in case you are paying it on a gross basis and you have already paid the tax on a 4 crore rupees, right? In that case, you do not need to pay tax on a zero point 0.4 crore separately, because seeding commission is already included in the 4 crore rupees. So you do not need to pay the tax again, and this transaction will cover under schedule 3. Are you getting my point? I hope so. Now co-insurance and reinsurance is clear to you, and it's a very very important for your exam. Please don't ignore this point, and I have given the beautiful example in my book. And by the way, if you need this book, you can join my Telegram channel. It's the link is in the description, and you will get this book free of cost. And if you want the hard copy, you can purchase it from the Swapnil Patni classes, and you can ping you can DM me also. I will give you the link as well. Okay, so now the schedule 3 is over. Let's switch it to the other topic called activities notified by the government. So apart from schedule 3, there are activities which are notified by our central government, state government, and which is not a supply. Okay, the first point, have you seen municipality or panchayat in a small villages or a town? So there is a concept like panchayat and municipalities. So if if any services supplied by central government, if any services supplied by our central government, state government, even a local authority to panchayat and local authority, panchayat and municipal parties, in that case, it is a no supply at all. I hope so. It is. Another is our alcohol license. So if government is giving any alcohol license, first of all, alcohol license is not a part of a supply, because on alcohol, state government have the 100% right to collect the revenue. If it is covered under the GST, then the state government has to share the revenue with our central government, and no state government do not want uh, do not want to share their 100% of the revenue, do not want to share 50% of the revenue with the central government. That's why the alcohol is not covered under the GST. Okay. So apart from alcohol license, all the other license will be covered under the GST. So if you're talking about the mining rights, 2G, 4G, 5G rights, and any other rights are part of a supply. Okay, these points we have covered. Now we are talking about most important part of this chapter is circular, and circular is very very important for your exam. And please don't skip this part, because most of the paper are come from circular itself. First is our cost of petroleum, and cost of petroleum. Let's understand with an example. It's a very very good chart I have presented. So, for example, generally the petroleum right is in the hand of a state government, and suppose a Tamil Nadu government giving a contractor a right to explore some petrol. Suppose they give the right to the Adani. They give the right to the Adani, and central government is charging some amount. They are charging two amount basically. First is our royalty. So first of all, royalty is taxable under GST. Taxable means it is a supply as well as it is taxable. Are you getting my point? And another is sale proceed. Suppose our central government gave the right to the Adani to explore petroleum crude. Now they explore the petroleum crude, and if you let's take an example. Ambani sale total sale of petroleum crude is around rupees 10 crore, and out of 10 crore there's a cost, because there's a lot of machine which are used to export some petrol out of it. So the cost of exploring that crude out of it is 4 crore. First of all, it is called as a cost of petroleum. That 4 crore is a cost of petroleum and it is not a consideration. The logic here is I am giving is not a consideration. You have to write it in exam, because if you do not quote the right reasoning, you will not expect I say will give you the 100% marks. So cost of petroleum is not a consideration. If anything is not a consideration, as per section 7 it is not a supply, and in schedule 1 there is only 4 entries, right? So it is not covered under the schedule 1 as well, hence it is not a supply. Are you getting my point? Now let's talk about another remaining 6 crore. And in remaining 6 crore, there will be a two split of it. First, there will be a contractor share, another will be a government share. Although it is a supply, but there will be a no taxability on it. Means it is exempt from GST. Are you getting my point? It is not a supply. You can write it here as well, and it is supply as well as taxable. I hope so it is clear to you. Now let's talk about security lending. Okay, security lending is a very modern concept in which you are giving the security on a temporary basis. The word here I have used is temporary basis. It's not a permanent disposal. So to cover in the definition of a security, the security should be a permanent disposal. But lending is not a permanent disposal because it's a temporary disposal. So if any lending fees or a intermediary fees is getting by the lender, in that case it is not covered under the definition of a security. If anything it is not covered under the definition of security, it is covered under the services. So any lending fees, any intermediary services fee they are getting, they are covered under the definition of services. And one more thing I need to clarify here, you need to pay the checks on RCM basis. Mean the recipient, the borrower need to pay the tax. The borrower need to deposit the tax. Sorry. Next, third point is mold and dies. So mold and dies is a very beautiful concept. There are two parties: OEM, original equipment manufacturer, and component manufacturer. Suppose it is a Honda company, and Honda company makes a car, and Honda company's engine is prepared by component manufacturer. And to make that engine, you will get some mold and dies, and these mold and dies are supplied by our OEM, original equipment manufacturer, free of cost. Right? Now the question is, the free of cost mold and dies supplied by OEM to component manufacturer is a supply or not? First of all, without consideration, it is not a supply, right? But we have to check a schedule one. So only the case is if it is a related party or a distinct person, then it is considered as supply. Otherwise, it is not. So here, what GST has clarified. However, in case related or distinct person, it is covered under deemed supply under schedule 1. So you have to wrote this in examination. Next is our tenancy right. So tenancy rights is also a supply, because there's a confusion among the people that tenancy right is just like an immovable property, because in immovable property if you sell a land or a building you have to pay a stamp duty on it, right? And in tenancy right you also have to pay stamp duty. Then uh, people are confused regarding the tenancy rights. Sir, we are paying the stamp duty. So just like the sale of land and building, why you are not why you are charging GST on it? So the GST department specifically clarify it. It is a services you are providing. It's not a sale of land and building. Even though you are paying a stamp duty, it doesn't mean you are selling a immovable property. Are you getting my point? I hope so. Fifth point. So in case if any penalty RBI is imposing on a bank, yeah, or any consumer dispute, in that case it is not a supply, because it is a liquidation damage, and liquidation damage is not a consideration. You can write it here. It is not a consideration. It is not a consideration. Sixth point. Director. Okay. So there are two type of director. First is an independent director, and second is our whole time director. And whole time director or executive director are those director which is part of an employer employee agreement, and their salary is charged under the profit and loss account under employee benefit expenses. Alright. If there is an employer employee relationship, we have covered in schedule 3, this transaction is not treated as a supply. Right. So any remuneration paid to an employee director is not a supply, even though we are paying even though we are paying perquisite to them. Perquisite is also a part of a salary, hence it is not a supply. But if anything paid to an independent director, because independent director is a professional and his TDS will deduct under the TDS 194J. J is for professional tax. Right. In that case, it is not an employer employee relationship. Any amount paid to an independent director will consider as a supply, and later you will study under charge under GST. So any amount as a sitting face paid to an independent director will be covered under RCM as well. Okay, jumping into the next point. Next point is very easy. Very easy. So in case of an interstate movement or mode of convenience, let me explain with you an example. Suppose, suppose here is my branch 1 and here is a branch 2. I have a business of a laptop and I want to transfer my laptop from one branch to another branch. For example, one is Tamil Nadu, another is in our Karnataka, same example. And my laptop are going in a truck, right? The truck is of amount 10 lakh rupees. And we have a laptop in it, and laptop amounting to rupee 1 lakh. The first and the foremost question, sir, is the truck is a supply? No, because I have a business of a laptop. Truck is just a mode of convenience. Truck is not a supply. Even though you are transferring to a distinct person, it is not a supply. So it is not a supply. But in case the laptop, because we are in the business of a laptop and we are supplying this, then that laptop will consider as a supply. And one more thing, if that truck has some tool, let's take a Stephanie also with him, then Stephanie will have the same treatment like just like the mode of convenience. It is not a supply. And laptop will be supply only if there is a distinct person. But in case there is a no distinct person and you are supplying free of cost, then it is not a supply because it is not covered under schedule 2. Firstly, you have to check section 7, then you have to check schedule 1. I hope so it is clear. So it is very simple. But let's take another example. For example, we are not in the business of a laptop, we are in the business of a truck. And we are supplying, I am supplying one truck from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka. In that case, can I say I am supply between a distinct person and is in the nature of a business because I am supplying a truck, because I am in the business of a truck. Hence, it is covered under the schedule 1. It is a supply, right? The same will apply to an aircraft. For example, I have an Indigo. Indigo has a one branch. Indigo has another branch. And suppose Indigo is sending a airplane engine for one branch to another branch. In that case, since airplane is in the business, it is considered as a supply. Was it clear? I hope so. Then both these point will be clear to you. So any supply of mode of convenience is not a supply, even though it is between a regarded even though this is between the regarded person, distinct person. But in case if there is a repair and maintenance, in that case, suppose I am sending my truck for repair, and the repair expense is amount to rupee 1 lakh. In that case, it is a services na, because repair services is services, and on repair you have to pay the tax na. Okay. I hope so it is clear. Another is interstate of aircraft. So in aircraft, it is a supply of service because it is in the nature of a business and you are transferring from one branch to another. It is a services supply. Okay, the point ninth is a very interesting point. What does point 9 says? So in case of a joint venture taxability, do you know the concept of a joint venture? In joint venture, let's take an example. Suppose there are two person called A and B. There are two-person A and B. They built a venture. This is called a joint venture in which both are contributing something 100 rupees. So suppose this is the call in advance, I can say. Call in advance is simple like a capital contribution. So capital contribution is same like a money, and money is not a supply. So any amount contributed by its member in a joint venture is not a supply, right? But we have studied under section 7, if any joint venture supplying services to its member, any person other than individual supplying to its member, it's a services. So in case if a joint venture is charging a annual maintenance, not a call in advance, annual maintenance, something like, then it is a pure supply of services. And now let's talk about third case. So in third case, this joint venture, there are A, B, and C. Yeah, A or B. Okay. They want to contribute 100 and 100, but instead of contributing, joint venture wants services, because joint venture want a machine and A have that machine. So what they have did, B transfer 100 rupees of call in advance to A, and A provided his machine. If we see, there are two transactions. First, there's a capital contribution. Second, A is providing a machine services, but they have indirectly shifted the this call in advance to A, not directly from this channel, but from this channel. In that case, we can simply say, na, A is providing the machine services to joint venture, then that transaction is a service. And total amount is 100 amount of A, 100 amount of B. The total amount he is charged from 200 rupees, right? Because if A is not providing the services, then B will contribute 100 rupees, A will contribute 100 rupees. Now no one is contributing, just A is providing the machine services. Then I can say, na, A is charged 200 rupees. I hope so it is clear. Okay, let's talk about another topic, priority sector lending scheme. The priority sector lending scheme is very easy. So every year RBI gives some guidelines to commercial bank. For example, this is bank 1 and this is bank 2. And they say in this financial year you have to spend at least 20% of your loan to for education loan. They have a benchmark called 20. But branch one has spent 30% of the loan in educational sector, but branch 2 only spend 10%. Now, there is shortage of a 10%. Can I say there is a shortage of 10%? Yes. So branch 1, these certificates are transferable in nature. So branch 1 has 10% extra. So these 10% they will send it to the branch 2, and in return branch 2 will pay some amount. So any transaction between priority sector lending certificate is considered as a supply of goods, because certificate is a movable property and anything which is movable is goods. I hope so it is clear, and you will later study in charge under GST. This branch 2 is a recipient and will deposit the tax under reverse charge mechanism. 11th is honorarium to guest member. Okay, let's take an example. There's a called Aaj Tak. Aaj Tak is a news channel. Recently, there is an election in Tamil Nadu. Suppose one politician came to Aaj Tak during the exit poll, and Aaj Tak will pay him something like amount and 1 lakh rupees as a honorarium. You appeared on our Aaj Tak channel. What will be the treatment of rupee 1 lakh? So that rupee 1 lakh will taxable under GST, will cover, matlab, that rupee 1 lakh will be supply under GST. 12th point is a very easy. So if any share hold by the holding company and subsidiary company, so share first of all are part of a security. It is not treated as services. I hope so it is clear. 13 is very interesting question, and it's very practical topic. Let me take an example of a boat. You know the boat company of Aman Gupta. They made the speakers, they made the boat earphones. Like suppose suppose I purchase a headphone. I purchase a headphone directly from the boat company website, not from the Amazon, not from the Flipkart. I directly purchase it from the Aman Gupta website. In that case, there are only two party. First is boat company, another is me. So if in case my headphone got damaged, it's under the warranty, they will replace it. If they charge a separate consideration for it, then it is a supply. But if they not charge a separate consideration for it, it is not a supply, because generally in warranty they will not charge a single penny from you, because the replacement cost is already included in your original prices, original cost when you have first purchased it. The just sorry, this case is very very simple. Now jump it to the case 2. Very very little bit complicated, not that much difficult, I can say. Suppose instead of directly buy it from the boat, I purchase it from an Amazon. Now there are three party: me, Amazon, and boat. I don't know boat. I directly go to the Amazon and ask my warranty. Amazon, if Amazon asks for a separate consideration, it is a supply. But it is if it is covered under the warranty, then I will not pay a single penny for it. Then it is not a consideration. It is not a consideration, then it is not a supply, right? What about part 2? I gave my damaged product to Amazon. Now Amazon will connect the boat, right? And boat will replace it. If boat charge a separate consideration from Amazon, then it is a supply. But if boat not charge a separate consideration for it, it is not a supply. It's very simple. But the reasoning is little bit different, because in case suppose let's take an example. Suppose boat sold 10 speaker to Amazon and paid tax, for example, 100 rupees each. So they have paid 100 rupees GST, right? And now out of the 10 speakers, two two speaker are damaged and Amazon return it to the boat. And there is a no separate consideration. I can say total there are 10 speakers and out of which two are returned. Then ultimately GST should be 8 into 100, 800. But we have already charged the 100 rupees. Now what we have to do? Sir, we have to credit our creditor. Now we will credit issue the credit note. This is a GST credit note, not a commercial credit note. It's a GST credit note and the amount will be 800. So if you see here, distributor can raise a credit note in respect of the part. Accordingly, GST liability may be adjusted by the manufacturer. I hope so. You got my point. 14 point salvage value. So uh, let's take an example. You have recently purchased a car and you you met with an accident and your car got damaged. Now the insurance company will come. Insurance company has a two option. You have take the insurance and the car value is around 10 lakh rupees. The car value is of 10 lakh rupees. Now insurance have a two option. Suppose the car garbage is around 1 lakh rupees. One option is insurance company will pay you the 100% money, 10 lakh rupees, and also take the garbage with him, right? Another option, another option is insurance company will pay 9 lakh rupees and do not take the garbage with him, and they say you can sell it. There are two options. One is with garbage, they can take and pay the full amount, and another is they do not take the garbage and pay only 9 lakh rupees. If they pay the full amount, it means garbage is also transferring to the insurance company. If garbage is transferring, the I can say salvage. If salvage is transferring, then it is a supply. Then full amount, insurance declare value ka is a outward supply. But in case if you deduct the salvage value and you pay only 9 lakh rupees, it means there is a no salvage transfer to the our insurance company. Hence, there is a no outward supply. It is not a supply. I hope so. It is clear. 15 points is very, very, very easy. Let's understand with an example. Suppose it is an holding company. This is a subsidiary company, and they are employees. Generally, what happens? Generally, what happens? Holding company will issue the ESOP, employee stock option plan, to the employees. Let's take an example. 10 lakh rupee, 10 lakh ESOPs, right? And subsidiary company later compensate it with rupee 10 lakh. In that case, holding company is giving a shares and subsidiary company is giving compensation. In that case, it's purely a transaction of a shares, and if anything that is purely a shares, it is covered under the security and not a supply. But let's take another example. Instead of a 10 lakh rupees, subsidiary company is compensating with 10 lakh rupees. Bro, we are understanding you are giving 10 lakh rupees as a share compensation. But why you are paying 10 lakh rupees extra above the ESOP value? It means holding company is giving something services to the subsidiary which we don't know. Then 10 lakh, 10 lakh. The first 10 lakh is a compensation, hence not a services, not a supply, I can say. But above 10 lakh, over and above the compensation of ESOP, is a supply of services. So very interesting. Okay, now let's talk about question, no, nothing question. Now let's talk about voucher. So again, very, very interesting. Explain with an example. I will explain you with a beautiful chart of it. There are two type of voucher. Voucher generally issued by the RBI also, and other than RBI also. Okay. First of all, if anything which is recognized by RBI is a money. Yes, sir. And other than RBI is an actionable claim. Right, sir. Money is not a supply. Right, sir. Money is not a supply. And actionable claims are excluded under Schedule 3 because they are not supply. Right, sir. It is not a supply. Means any actionable claim at the time of a issue is not a supply. Very good, sir. Now let's talk about the distribution. And in distribution, there are also two methods. It can be on principal to principal basis. What does principal to principal basis mean? Means you are not charging any commission. You are purchasing the same 800 rupees or you are selling the 800 rupees. You are not making any commission out of it. But you are selling on a commission basis. Means you are purchasing at 90 rupees, you are selling the same voucher at 100 rupees and you are earning 10 rupees as a commission. In that case, that 10 rupees will be considered as a supply, and it is not a supply. Issue is clear, distribution is clear. Now talks about the redemption. In redemption, there can be a two option. First, it is redeem. Another, it cannot be redeemed. In case if it is not redeemed, means suppose I am getting a voucher from a store called Zara. Zara, like Zara is a clothing brand. I am getting 100 rupees of voucher and I haven't claimed it. Means there is a no supply against it. I haven't purchased anything. If this I haven't purchased anything, there is a no taxable supply. No taxable supply. If there is a no supply, how we can charge a GST on it? Right? No taxable supply, no GST. But if I redeem it, means I am purchasing something, then it is a supply. Then it is a, I hope so. You have got the point. Now, some some companies have a practice. They will provide a services like advertisement, sales promotion, something like in redemption of a voucher. Suppose I got a voucher. If I redeem that voucher, I got some additional services like marketing and advertisement. In that case, the open market value of that marketing and advertisement services will be a supply. Are you getting my point? I hope so. So this is about voucher. It's a very interesting concept, and it will going to be a ask in exam as well. 17th point is about a liquidation damage. Okay, before jumping into the liquidation damage, I will going to explain you the supply of services. It's a very beautiful concept. Okay, so I have explained you three things. First is to do an act, to do act. Another is refrain from act, and another is tolerate from an act. To do an act, suppose I am a singer. I'm a singer and I perform at some musical event. In that case, I am charging the money to do an act. Refrain from an act. You are you do not make noise in my class. I will pay you 1,000 rupees. That is, you are not doing something and I am paying you. Tolerate an act. You are doing it, but you are compensating me for that. You are doing it, but you are compensating for me that. Suppose there's a lorry. There is a lorry in front of a shop. The shop owner will charge a rupee 10,000 monthly to tolerate, right? In that case, it is a toleration of it. I hope so you have cleared. Plus, there is a contract. Whether implicit, explicit doesn't matter. If there is anything to do an act, refrain from an act, tolerate from an act with a contract, then it is a supply of service. Are you getting my point? Now let's talk about the liquidation damage. Very interesting concept. A very complicated. Generally, people doesn't get it, but I have a very beautiful example. You will easily understand. Let's take an example of Bahubali 3. The director of Bahubali 3 is S.S. Rajamouli, right? S.S. Rajamouli. And in our um actor is Bahubali, right? Bahubali. Can say Pavas, darling, right? Pavas is darling, right? Rebel star. So there is a contact between S.S. Rajamouli and Darling. So the contract is regarding making of a Bahubali 3. Making of a Bahubali 3. And for that, SS Rajamouli is paying to the Pavas 100 crore rupees as a fees. Right? And Pavas is agreed to do an act and they have an agreement. Right? It's a supply of services. But after 1 year, Pavas want to do Pavas want to do Salar 2. Pavas want to do Salar 2. And he told SS Rajamouli, I do not want to shoot Bahubali 3. And SS Rajamouli like, what? I spent too much amount on making Bahubali 3. I have made the studios. Now you are saying me after 1 year, you do not want to continue with me. So who will good my losses? Because of you, I am suffering loss. Now people will mock at me. It will damage my reputation. And cover to make that good losses, I am suing you. I am sue you in court, and I will ask for a rupee 50 crore as a liquidation damage because I do not want you will cancel this contract, and you are if you are canceling this contract, it is making me lose, and it is damaging my reputation. It is loss damage, I can say, right? So just a minute. So first of all, Prabhas in his life do not want sorry. First of all, SS Rajamouli in his life do not want Prabhas will cancel this contract. If Prabhas will cancel this contract, then it will definitely, definitely for a loss situation or damage situation for a SS Rajamouli. Then in that case, if any amount Prabhas is giving to a SS Rajamouli to make his losses good, that is liquidation damage, and it is not a consideration. And if anything is not a consideration, is not a supply. I hope so you got my point. Some other example of a liquidation damage is some of the example of a liquidation damage are check dishonor. A minute. Check dishonor. Any bank do not want your check will be dishonor, and in case if there is a dishonor, it will be a reputational damage to a bank as well. In that case, if bank is charging any penalty, then it is a liquidation damage and no GST will be applied on that. Second is forfeiture of earns money. For example, there's a contract between a buyer and seller for a some property or something like that. Now you do not want to purchase that, and your seller forfeit the money you have deposited. In that case, the seller doesn't want you cancel the contract. If that contract cancel, it will suffer from losses. He will suffer from losses, fortunately. Unfortunately, in that case, the forfeit amount is not considered as supply. Second is, suppose it's your birthday and you order the cake from Zomato, but the Zomato guy deliver the cake after 1 month. In that case, your birthday will be ruined by the Zomato, and you show the Zomato, and Zomato pay you the let's say 10,000 rupees as a compensation, as a liquidation damage. In that case, it is also a liquidation damage because you do not want to deliver that cake after 1 month, right? Okay, now let's talk about 1 month. First point is damage resulting from a damage to property. Suppose it's my lecture, it's my beautiful book I have made for you. One of the teacher copied this notes, and definitely I do not want someone copy my note. Someone unauthorizedly use my trademark or something. Like if anything happen, I will show him because it's copyrighted notes, right? And in that case, if I ask for a liquidation damage, that is also not a supply. These four examples are very, very important. Please remember this example because they will surely can ask an exam. But there are some exception to liquidation of damage which are supply. First is late payment charges. In late payment charges, suppose suppose you have not made the payment. You have purchased the laptop. You told me I will make the payment after 30 days, but you didn't make the payment in 30 days. Now I charge some late interest. Then late interest or a late penalty is not late interest is not like a late penalty, right? Penalty is something different from a interest. So interest is a services because you have used that money, I can say. So it is not a liquidation damage. Fourth is pre-penalty charges. You have heard it in case of a bank. So generally in case if you pay the loan early, in that case bank will apply a prepayment penalty charge, and it is a very normalized charge. It's not a liquidation damage type because generally it's a very common in bank. You pay them early, and because of the mismanagement, now they have to reroute that amount to another borrower. So for that, to making that uh, they are charging some pre-penalty fees. It's not a liquidation damage. They do not want, there's nothing like that ki like a SS Rajamol Bhai case. If it is happen, then it will make a loss. In that case, pre-penalty is not a liquidation damage. Third is cancellation of a ticket. Suppose you book an airplane ticket and you want to cancel it on a last minute, and Indigo applies airline uh, airline applies cancellation charges on it. In that case, it is also a not liquidation charges, because if you are not traveling, someone will travel instead of you. Because suppose you cancel that ticket and immediately buy that ticket, right? And airline is getting a cancellation fees also. In that case, it's not a low situation, it's a win-win situation for them. So cancellation fees charged by generally airlines is not a liquidation damage, hence it is a supply. Third, in case of a travel, generally, if you book a travel agent and you are paying some money to him, and later you cancel your tour plan, in that case, it is not a liquidation damage, because it's generally happen in case of a tour packages. I hope so. These are the example is clear to you. It's very important. Liquidation damage is very, very important for the exam. Okay. So all the circulars we have discussed. Now we are jumping into the section 8. Is a very, very easy concept, and you have earlier studied and you have seen and divided as well. So composite and mix supply. So let's take an example. Why this section come into play? So suppose there are two supply. Two are supply. First is 18% tax rate, another is 5%. But you are giving it a single rate of 2000 rupees. Now the question will arise, what rate we will charge? Whether we will charge 5%, whether we will charge 18%. Now this question will be answered by your section 8, which is related to a composite supply and a mixed supply. Let's talk about the composite supply first. In composite supply, there should be a minimum two supply or more, and one of which will be the principal supply, another is ancillary supply. What do I mean from a principal supply? So principal supply mean any supply which is a predominant factor. Any supply which is a predominant factor. Let's take an example. If you are purchasing a laptop, and with the laptop you are getting Windows, the main thing is that you want to purchase laptop, with that you are getting a operating system, means it is a predominant is laptop, and window is our ancillary supply. So if laptop is chargeable at a 40%, and window is chargeable at a 18%, then 40% rate will apply. The rate of the principal supply will apply. Are you getting my point? There are numerous example, like you buy a iPhone with a charger. So in that case, iPhone is a main supply, whereas the charger you are getting with iPhone is a ancillary supply. Although Apple company is not giving the charger to you, but they are just giving the cable. So that cable will be ancillary supply. You book a hotel and you get some complimentary breakfast. So the hotel booking is a main supply. The breakfast is a complimentary. You are buying a TV. With TV, you are getting a remote. TV is a main, and remote is a ancillary. You purchase an AC. With AC, you are getting a 1 year of a warranty. 1 year of warranty with AC. In that case, AC is the main supply, warranty is the ancillary supply, because you are not paying uh, separately for it. The part of a composite supply, there's a single rate charge for it. Okay, this is a very easy question in composite supply. Now try to jump into the mixed supply. It's a very interesting concept, and it's very different from a composite supply. Here what happens? देखो, one thing I need to tell, in composite supply, the main thing is that both supply should be naturally bundled. What does naturally bundle means? The large number of receiver receive these services as a bundle, and majority of the supplier supplies as a bundle. But in case it's a very strange thing. For example, gift bouquet. In gift bouquet, what you do? Suppose it's a gift bouquet. There's a one chocolate which attract 40% rate. There's a one can which attract 18%, and there's one toffee which is exempt. And there's only single rate 2000 is charged for that. Then what rate will be charged? Because they are naturally not bundle. Because you can purchase it separately. You can purchase the can Diet Coke separately. You can purchase this separately chocolate. And maximum number of supplier is not selling this as a bundle. In that case, since you are mixing them, then you have to pay the cost and you have to pay the highest rate, 40% on it. So you have to pay 40% tax. You getting my point? I hope so you got my point. This is this is the main difference between a composite and a mixed supply. I have Okay, let me tell you one more interesting concept. In case, in case, in invoice, suppose even though you book a bouquet, but in invoice, there's a separate line item, chocolate, Diet Coke, toffee, 40%, 18% exam. In that case, if it is directly separately mentioned in invoice, then that particular rate will apply instead of a composite and mix apply, because it is separately mentioned as a separate line item in it. But here is an exception in case of a transportation, in case of a GT services. For example, I am delivering you the TV, right? जैसे Amazon, like an example. Amazon give you the delivery of TV, and with that he charging some delivery fee for you, 40 rupees, 4040 rupees something, right? In that case, even though that delivery fees is separately mentioned, still they are a composite supply. Still they are a composite supply. This is the only exception. Even if it is separately mentioned, it is considered as a composite supply. I hope so it is clear. Now some example. In case toothpaste and toothbrush, you can purchase the toothbrush separately, then it is a case of a mix-up, right? Car with a warranty. Car with a warranty is a composite supply. Generally, you will get the four services free. Then it is a composite supply. Main services is car. GTA. If you book a transportation and he is giving you the packaging cost, he is giving you the services of packaging, transportation, insurance, then it is a composite supply. Most of the GTA provided these services. Then it is a composite supply where main services is the supplies of goods. Means sorry. If you are supplying the goods and someone is giving you the packing cost, someone is giving you the packing. So suppose you purchase a laptop from Amazon, then Amazon will pack it, they will package it, they will transport to you, they will insurance it as well. In that is a composite supply, na. In case of a Diwali gift box, it is a mix supply. But in case of a Diwali box and each item separately mentioned, it is not a composite or mix supply. They will charge a separate rate for each item. Television with a remote, again composite. Interest on delay payment. The very interesting. In case of an interest on a delay payment, the main services here is of goods. And on interest, goods rate will apply. So interest on delay payment is also a composite supply. There are some circulars. In case you are going for a car services, there are two type of charges. First is the labor charges, which is your services, and another is our, suppose there is some part damage and you replaced it. Now there is a supply of a goods and services. If in invoice he separately mention both these item as a labor charge, as a part damage, that case, if it is separately mentioned, then it is not a case of a composite mix supply. But if they charge a single rate for it, then it is a pure case of a car servicing, and service rate will apply. Same in circular 2. In circular 2, what they have cleared regarding the food and beverages and cinema halls. So case 1 is about, suppose you book a ticket from a district and you are going with your girlfriend and you want you should have a popcorn with you in interval, something like. So you book a with movie tickets, you purchase some popcorn online. So here it is a composite supply, and the rate of ticket will apply to the popcorn. But you book the ticket only, and after the interval you feel hungry and you go to the counter and you purchase the popcorn. In that case, can I say it is a separate supply, right? Because there are two separate invoice for it. In case there are two separate invoice for it, it is not a case of a composite and mixed supply. Hence, the restaurant rate will apply on the popcorn. Another is retrading of tires. Retrading of tire is something like a repair of a tire. It is the pure case of a something like I give my tire. Generally, if you see a tire for friction, there is a gap in tires, right? So so there is a concept of retrading. So generally the car owner will give the tire it to the puncture wala, right? In that case, it is a case of a supply of services, right? Because he is giving the services of a retrading. I don't know exactly what is retrading. Is how to explain that, but it is a retrading where the rubber used for retrading is an ancillary. The main services is the services, because he will provide you the goods in term of a rubber, and he is providing you the services. The main services we want is services. We want our tire will be good enough to run. But in case instead of uh, instead of a retrading, you purchase a tire, you purchase a second hand tire which is already retraded. In that case, it is a goods, not a services. Another is the printing, and in printing there are two cases. First is content owned by the publisher. Suppose this is my book. If this book I given it for print, if this book I given it for print, then it is a services, because the main services I want is I want to print it. I want to print it. I do not want goods, because there is a goods plus services. Goods is paper and services is printing, right? So main services is services. Main services is services, not paper. That case, if the content is owned by the publisher, it is a pure case of a composite supply, and the main supply is printing services. But in case of a letter card envelope, generally, generally the content is not owned by the publisher, and in that case, the main supply, instead of a printing, we will see the paper quality, because content is not important. In that case, it is a composite supply, and main supply is of a good. I hope it is clear. Another is extended warranty. And what is extended warranty? Suppose I recently purchased an iPhone. And why I purchased the iPhone? Now, there's a one salesperson who continuously told me, sir, could you please, sir, do you want to purchase eye care? Because eye care is a extended warranty, right? So if I am purchasing an iPhone, with iPhone, I am purchasing an eye care from a same person, same vendor. In that case, it is a composite supply, and main supply is of a iPhone. But I denied it. I denied it. I do not want eye care because it's very costly. I opt for another vendor. I take an insurance, but I have not taken the eye care from the Apple. I have taken the insurance from some third party vendor. That case, there will be a two separate invoice, right? Because Apple company will issue the invoice for iPhone only, and insurance company, there will a third party insurance, there will be a separate invoice, right? In that case, it is not a composite or mixed supply, and both different rate will apply. On iPhone rate will apply. On insurance rate will apply. Or there can be a case, suppose I purchased the iPhone on 20 April, I didn't take the iCare, and I again came to Apple store, and on 22 April I purchased iCare. In that case, on 20th April I have issue the invoices, and on 20th April I will separately issue an invoice. In that case, there's a time of supply gap, because it is of the transaction of 20 April. Now I am later purchase it. then in that case it is not a composite or mixed supply. Hence here I care is a services and services rate will apply, not an iPhone rate. I hope it is clear to you. So with that we have completed all the concept related to the supply under GST. And you like the if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, press the like button, and please also comment. You can join my Telegram also. So that's it about this chapter. In this video we will try to cover a separate chapter also if I get a good likes on this video. Thank you so much for watching this.